Welcome back to the Lemno Podcast, the ultimate destination for all things fantasy football. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just dipping your toes in the virtual gridiron glory, we've got you covered. Let them know it's time to take your fantasy game to the next level. Episode 3 today, guys. We're talking about the top 5 fantasy duos. But before we get to that, I would like to introduce my co host. Benny's going to be joining us on to the show today. He's here to go back and forth with me uh, for the episode. Let us know who's top 5 you like the best after the episode's over. We might run a poll on one of our socials as well, so keep an eye out for that as well. So let's get right to the football segment, shall we? All right. Me and Benny are going to go back and forth here with the starting five, our top 5 fantasy duos for the upcoming season. These guys don't have to be a QB receiver, it can be any duo on the offense. So, Benny's going to start it off here.
Number 5. It's my fun choice. It's not really a logical choice. But DJ Moore, Justin Fields. So DJ Moore, 5 years in the league, 5,200 yards receiving. The guy gets it done. TK, how would you describe his quarterbacks last year?
For DJ Moore, or are you talking about Justin
Yeah,
Fields?
his quarterbacks that he had throwing him the ball. How would you describe them
I would say mediocre at best.
at best?
At best.
He had 118 targets last year, 63 catches. Still almost had 900 yards receiving and a career high 7 touchdowns. The guy gets it done. He just does. Now, Justin Fields, Russian quarterback, almost 1,100 yards rushing last year. Next closest guys, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar. They all had 760 yards. I mean, even if he regresses, that's still the next tier of rushing. Um, his strength of schedule against projected quarterbacks this year is number 2. Number 2 being the easiest. I think he's going to have opportunities. 21 attempts passing per game. It's going to increase. It just is. It has to. It's the only way to keep him safe. I think these guys give you a lot of room to roster build. I think you're going to be able to get them fairly. I mean, Fields' ADP is 44, QB 6. DJ Moore ADP 51, wide receiver 21. There's room. So
So you're thinking
that's my number 5.
Fields is going to have a good time this season through the air, not just on the ground.
I think you got to get an effort to keep him safe, and the only way to do that is to make him throw more. I mean, you got DJ Moore for a reason.
Okay.
Got to use him.
Right, right. So my number 5 pick, I'm going to take the stand here. I'm going back to a duo we all know and love. I'm going with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews for my duo. Um, Mark Andrews finished top 4 last year among tight ends. That's without Lamar Jackson there on the field for probably half the season. When this tandem gets back together, Mark Andrews did take the crown from Travis Kelsey a year or two. With the weapons surrounding Lamar now, I feel like that's going to open up the field tremendously for this tight end. And I do think he'll be tight end number 1 this year. But we'll go on to number 4 here for you. What are you thinking for number 4?
Number 4, least favorite on the list, but got to think with your head, not your heart. CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard. Year after year growth for CeeDee is just there. Didn't have Dak all year, still put up 107 catches, 1,400 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. And I mean, if you're a believer in contract years, this is kind of the year for the guy. He's got his fifth year picked up, but you know what that means. Got to show improved. As far as Tony Pollard goes, he's an RB7 last year, but didn't even finish top 25 in the league in touches. It's crazy. On top of that, I mean, his competition in the background's what? Rojo and Dewspawn. It's gonna be a non-issue. It's gonna be a monster year for PPR especially. Big question mark is if he's healthy. Coach said he wants to run the ball. I think they're gonna give him the ball. I think Dak's gonna dump the ball off a ton. I hate Dallas. I mean, I hate Dallas, but think with your head, not your heart. Tons of opportunities between these two, especially if you can get them in a stack, do it.
All right, here with my number 4 here, I'm going with the fan favorite for you. I'm going Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown for my number 4. This duo exploded onto the scene last year, with AJ Brown finishing number 6 overall among wide receivers, and Jalen Hurts finishing third among QBs for fantasy. Um, they restocked on the defensive side of the ball. The offense stayed intact. They did have an upgrade, I believe, at the running back position. If he stays healthy, that run game should be there. That way, Hurts, they can basically keep the ball out of Hurts' hand for the rushing attack. Would like to see more on the ground from the running backs. That should open up the receivers as well with Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. I like AJ Brown a little bit better than Devontae Smith, even though Devonta Smith did finish ninth as well overall for wide receivers.
Question for you: if you can get both Smith and AJ Brown, would you do it?
Depending on where it lies.
Like, say Hurts is out of the picture, somebody else takes him early. Would you still stack both those guys?
I would stack both those guys, like I said, depending on what round I can get Devontae Smith. Um, Also, how my bye weeks are looking. That's why pretty soon I feel like we should run a couple mock drafts to see. I'd like to run a couple of those to see if we can stack some of these duos together to see what some teams would look like. But I would definitely wouldn't shy away from having both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
A lot of firepower.
But for your number 3, we're going with who?
For number 3, everybody's favorite Hard Knocks team. I'm telling you, put them on every season. We're going Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, and Jahmyr Gibbs, the guy that everybody thought they reached, but they wanted. As far as Amon-Ra St. Brown, PPR monster, target share monster, it's all there. And then you tack on the suspension. This is supposed to be, James Williams' year, and now he's gonna miss 6 games, and then he's got the 32% target share already last year. I mean, it's gonna be there. It's not gonna go away. He also has the most favorable schedule for wide receiver this year. He gets to play the Vikings defense twice. I mean, that's gonna be 30 points a game both times probably. Jahmyr Gibbs, this is where it gets interesting. Um, they believe in his production. They need his production, and they went and got it. He's excelled in 2 colleges, Georgia Tech, Bama, and again, that Jameson Williams suspension. It leaves a giant open role in the pass game. And again, schedule versus running back, number one easiest in the league. The targets are going to be there. It, I just think that this in a full PPR league, these two guys, if you can get them, get them. It's a lot of targets, a lot of catches, and production from Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you trust a rookie, it's the one, I think.
You're taking Gibbs over Bijan.
I'm taking Jared Goff over Ritter. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I just think the Lions are easy to write off as the Lions, but if you look at last year, I mean, at the end of the year in my championship round, I started Goff over Herbert, and it's because of what they were doing at the end of the year. And I mean, you'd like to hope it doesn't regress, but I think that the wide receiver and the running backs, I mean, you look at the schedule prediction, it's there.
Yeah, with
I think they're
Almiron
gonna have a
finishing
chance.
seventh among wide receivers last year, I don't see anything like that changing.
No, I mean his ADP is wide receiver 9, ADP overall 18. Gibbs RB 15, ADP 36. I think his ADP is gonna go up. I think it's only gonna get harder and harder to get him as we get closer to the season.
All right, with my number three, I'm gonna go with a wide receiver duo. I'm going with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for my number three. Uh, these guys blew up the scene last year. Um, without Tua as well in certain amount of games as well. Tyreek finished second among wide receivers with 1,700 yards and 7 TDs, with Jalen Waddle finishing eighth among receivers with 8 TDs and 1,400 yards as well. If Tua stays healthy for the whole season, you're going to see maybe these two receivers both in the top five, I believe. Um, but that's a matter of what ifs with Tua. Um, I feel like he might be one hit away, depending how well they can protect him. But that's me.
I think this is the first pushback I'm gonna give. I think it's tough when wide receivers have super breakout years, I think, because then you either expect, you know, that it's gonna fall off. And Tyreek pretty much shattered the ceiling for them last year. He was incredible and stuff, but like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just not a Tua guy, but they got was they get Mike White.
I'm not a big Tua fan either. I guess I'm more leaning towards the explosiveness between these two guys, and just seeing these two can take a slant route to the house, and you're just waiting to see what they can do afterwards. I mean,
Track
you could
speed.
throw
It's
me or
true.
you out there to throw a slant, and these guys can make something of nothing.
Yeah, yeah. The whole Dalvin Cook thing, it'll be interesting. See what they do.
That yeah, if Dalvin Cook signs with them, Buffalo was in the mix. I heard as well. So there's interesting options as well for these offenses in that division as well.
Agreed.
So moving on, we got number two for you.
Number two, Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. So start with the obvious. Austin Eckler, last 2 years, number one in touchdowns overall. It's there. It's proven. I mean, he wanted the trade. They kept him. He's gonna be there. He's just a workhorse there. It's proven. 127 targets last year. Insane. Absolutely insane. 107 catches last year. I think it was like top five in the league, I think, in catches. New offensive coordinator. He likes to throw the ball. I know there's a lot of stuff coming out saying, he was excited working with Herbert, started to realize some things. I don't know what that means. Guess the guy did know Herbert was tall too. Guy's a weirdo, but whatever. He likes to throw the ball. He's excited to throw the ball. Just get the ball to Eckler. Also, the thing I like about this is I think Allen might fall. I think a lot of people are off on him. I think you can either get Herbert or stack potentially the third wide receiver. If you don't like Mike Williams, I understand. Injury report, it's all there. The guy they drafted from TCU might get some play, a lot of play. And you might be able to get him late. You might be able to build a good roster. Obviously, you're going to have to be early if you're going to get Eckler. Now, Keenan Allen. in the last 7 weeks of the season, he's wide receiver 4. Now, if his hamstring didn't fall off at the beginning of the year, who knows what his year could have been. Full PPR, a lot of targets. I mean, it's to me, it's potential to be CD Lamb and Pollard on steroids. Again, you got to get a full year out of Allen. Hopefully, the offensive coordinator works. Eckler speaks for himself. I mean, it's really not too much to go into. It's huge risk on Keenan Allen, but the guy's proven he can do it, and he gets a lot of targets. I mean, the end of the year last year, right, was insane. It was just like 10 plus catches, 10 plus catches. It's just a shame how his year started. If his year started solid, I don't even think it's a debate. I think this is a lock.
This is probably where I'm going to push back here at your number 2 spot. Both of these guys are like fine wine. They got the shimmer. They got the shimmer to them. Keenan Allen's getting up there in age. I think he turns 32 this year. He finished among wide receivers 41. Yeah, he exploded on the scene. He also has some injury prone to him as well. With that hamstring, like you mentioned. And again, Eckler is getting up there in age as well. I think he's about to turn 29 or 30 himself. And that is very old in running back years here coming up. We'll see if he can keep that production on the field as
But
well.
127 targets last year.
It's great for dump downs and PPR, but if you look at the
Full
rushing,
PPR league is just,
the rushing is
man,
there too. You almost had 1,000 yards rushing as well. But
it's
we're all
crazy.
human.
Like I think has he like only had 1,000 yards one time, I think, in his career. Like
Yeah.
the guy is just, man, in the slot, in the backfield, full PPR. I mean, I just, like I said, if Keenan's season was different last year, if we got a full sample size, I don't even think it's a conversation. But ADP, what? ADP 43, wide receiver 18. There's room to build a roster though, like
He'd be
you might be able
probably,
to think in other parts. Like,
I would take him as a wide receiver 3, 4 in that
and I
range.
mean, gotta be thrilled because that means you get Keenan Allen, you get Austin Eckler, and then you get to get 2 or 3 guys you think is better than Keenan Allen, who, let's be honest, last 7 weeks of the season, that's playoffs. That's money league time. Like that's when who cares how he played the rest of the year. If you get the last 7 weeks at wide receiver 4, that's money. I'll take it.
Okay. I like the confidence. We'll see this year. My number 2. I know I'm going to get some pushback from this one. I know me and you talked about this one already a little bit. I have Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen as my number 2.
Oh, buddy. Let's
I
talk about
jo-
it.
Josh Allen finished second among QBs last season, while Diggs finished fourth among receivers, finishing with 1,400 yards through the air and 11 TDs. This guy wants the ball more. And I feel like they're going to give him the ball more. They did not upgrade, I don't think. This Dalton Kincaid, this tight end, I don't believe he's going to be anything. It usually takes tight ends 3 to 4 years to blossom into a superstar tight end. I don't think he's going to be a factor this coming year. Dawson Knox is still there. So I don't think they really upgrade on the offensive side of the ball too much unless Dalvin Cook signs with over there. But I don't think he wants to take carries away from his brother. Um, but Diggs is
Now
going
he
to.
said that he has no intentions on playing with his brother,
But,
like for that exact reason.
but so Diggs is the offense. Diggs is, I believe, going to get the ball. Um, you're not going to trade a guy like Diggs right now with the Bills contending. The Bills been bad for so long, and finally they're in contention every year now. It seems like they're as a contender for the Super Bowl as well. I don't see them getting rid of Diggs, so I feel like they're just gonna feed the beast this year continuously, just like how it started in the beginning of the season last year. Those two connected quite a bit in those first couple weeks, um, and this is probably one of my favorite duos to have in fantasy.
So, what do we know about Buffalo? Buffalo has a great history of getting really close and then just falling apart. Is it like 4 straight Super Bowls they made? Lost all of them.
But the beautiful
Get
thing
close.
about this is it's fantasy. We don't need them in the Super
God,
Bowl.
the only well, I was just gonna say that I mean Buffalo's gonna get real close again like they had the last 2 years and just fall apart. Apparently it's gonna happen before the season starts. Um, one thing that I know, put it on my tombstone, diva wide receivers are diva wide receivers. Once they show their face, it's over. And we saw it in Minnesota. It's starting to show its head in Buffalo. Like you said, guy gets 10 targets a game and he's not happy about it. He wants to be involved in the play call. They don't even have a running game. The whole play call is literally get the ball up to Diggs, and he's not even happy about that. I don't understand what there is to be happy about. I guess the perk is you can stack you can stack, Allen and Diggs together, and if he gets traded, then great, you still have Allen and Diggs. I mean, that's about as good as that goes, I think. I
What if I
love
told
Josh
you?
Allen, love him.
What if
I
I
just,
told you he
I
was
think he's an issue.
77 targets behind Devonte Adams last season?
I would
20,
believe it
not
because
70. Wow, I misspoke there. Not 77, 27.
oh,
So,
I mean, you could have said 77. I believe you because Devonte Adams that was stupid last year. I mean, like you said, put you and me in there. Devonte Adams is just gonna eat.
I'm curious to see.
Unfortunately, Timmy Garoppolo, but
And,
whatever.
and speaking on that, were you taking Devonte Adams this year with the QB in question over there in Oakland? I feel like
So
he might force a trade out as well.
I, buddy, I think he could play on Mars with a mini fridge throwing him the ball, and I'd still take him wherever you're willing to give him to me. Um, last year, so I play in a full PPR 10-man keeper league, right? I somehow I got Jamar Chase in the first, but I was at the end. So on the way back, I got Devontae. So I got to stack those two guys. And I don't know how I should be in prison. I don't know how it happened, but I stole it. And yeah, I mean, even when what was his name? Was Stidham was in, he still had a 30-point game. Like, give me Devontae Adams.
I like it. I like it. We're gonna go to. I believe we have the same number one for this as well. Um,
So I don't know if we mentioned it in the intro or not. With the we're doing top five, and then we're doing the goat tier.
yep. So we have that. I think, like I said, we have the same number one as well.
So we have two goat tiers. The two guys who never agree on anything agree on two things.
So I think both of our number ones here are Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Is that correct?
100%.
Um,
100%.
Jamar Chase finished 12th among receivers last year. 1,000 yards, 9 TDs. Well,
And missed what, 3 games?
yep. Well, our QB
Stupid.
here finished fourth among QBs last season. Um, this might be the breakout year. You're going to see the Bengals uh, in the Jamar Chase show here. Do you like? Obviously, we
I
like Jamar Chase over T Higgins. Do you think T Higgins is going to be up there as well in the rankings with him?
so I feel like I'm the only guy in the world that's just not a T Higgins fan. Um, and it's just not that I don't like him. I think he's a great receiver. Jamar Chase is the guy. I it's not just that he's the guy, he's Joe's guy. He's been Joe's guy since LSU. He's been, I mean, you see money games, playoffs. Jamar's the only guy that gets the ball. Like, it's just not going to change. I mean, Jamar could go out there with no hands and Joe would still feed him the ball. And rightfully so. The guy deserves it. The guy deserves the opportunities. He's got that huge frame. He's strong. Makes, I mean, makes small plays house calls. Makes, jump balls look routine. He's the guy. I mean, 262 targets in 2 years. That's insane. And it's not going away. It's just not. Numbers. I love numbers. The last 2 years, Joe's been over 100 QBR, 30 plus touchdowns, and 4,000 yards in both those seasons. I don't think that's going to change either. I know Steelers fans are going to hate it. I'm going to love it. But it is what it is. And sneaky fun fact, Joe had 5 rushing touchdowns last year.
Joe
I know
Shiesty.
it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like they're going to be in the red zone forever. I mean, Joe said, our window to win a Super Bowl is as long as I'm here. I mean, as long as those guys are on the field, they're going to be scoring, they're going to be doing all these things, and it's just not going to change. And 5 rushing touchdowns is just a bonus.
See,
Could it be more? Maybe. I
I
don't know.
like the
But like,
receivers there. I like Jamar Chase. I think he's gonna have a breakout season. As far as T Higgins, I'm a big T Higgins believer as well. I'm taking T Higgins over Allen, Keenan Allen, we were talking about earlier. Um, I like Higgins as potentially your number two. Uh, Maybe if you're stacking your running back and you took, say, Kelsey in the first round, Higgins might be your low end wideout one in some drafts, in some cases, if you're drafting a different strategy. This guy finished 17th, so it's not like he fell off that much from Jamar Chase at 12. Um, he still had a thousand
he
yards.
missed some games at the end too, I think.
He was battling injury there too for a little bit as well. He's also a big body. He's a 6'4" receiver as well, still young. Um, and again, I think he finished with 8 touchdowns of his own. So I feel like they're almost an identical receiver, to be honest. I just think Jamar is just a little bit better and has
So,
that chemistry.
couple of things. Um, the reason I think that the only like thing I'll kind of push on is T. Higgins is always going to get targets taken away by Jamar. Just inevitable. Keenan Allen, as much as he's been injured, Mike Williams has been injured more. The rookie they're getting there, it's kind of give or take, rookies in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, go back to the red zone stuff I was just mentioning. Jamar's had 28 red zone targets in 14 games last year. That's insane. Like, he's all Joe looks at. When it's time to win games and it's time to, put the money where the mouth is, it's Jamar Chase.
And he
Red
only
zone targets lead to touchdowns.
and he
Touchdowns lead to points.
he did
It's
finish 12 as well with only playing 12 games last season too, which is incredible.
dude,
So
it's unreal. Like it really is. I also think at the beginning of the year, I was listening to some stuff. They were saying, Jamar's going to be 1-1 this year. Since that stuff's happened, I've started to hear him go later. ADPs all over the place with this guy. He's going to be my 1-1. Um, it comes down to him or Justin Jefferson. And when you make that debate, I think you have to take into consideration the quarterbacks, the guys throwing the ball. I'm going to take Joey B over Kirk Cousins every time. So, I mean, Jamar's a 1-1 guy for me. Joe's QB4, ADP 33 overall. I mean, there's room to roster build. Just depends on what your league does quarterback wise. You you get some leagues, all the guys go off the board sooner than expected. And when that happens, you kind of got to jump in or get left, and hopefully, hopefully you can get both these guys. And there's no running backs to speak of in Cincinnati. I mean, the PPR threat and P Ryan, he's in Denver now. So I mean, you got to throw the ball in the AFC to win. Got to score
Don't
points in the AFC to win.
don't sleep
And
on Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is back. He re-signed. He's back for another season.
buddy, I think he has the most foolish uh end of season ranking from last year. Is I forget how high up he ranked, but most of his points came from the 5 touchdown week. Did nothing all year. Scored 5 touchdowns, and then it kind of inflated his numbers overall. I just not a Joe Mixon guy. Can't do it. Everything else about that offense, love it. Who is the tight end Cincinnati got this offseason?
Tight end, because Hayden Hurst went over to Carolina.
Yep.
Uh, I can't remember the tight end that moved over there, to be honest with you.
No, I can't either because you're going to be able to get them late. I know you're going to be able to get them late. And if you can, do it. Like last round, last 2 rounds, snag them. Stack. I'm all about that Cincinnati passing offense.
It was Smith.
Oh yeah, Irv Smith from Minnesota. Good pickup. Good pickup. Guy that got forgotten last year, injuries, and then obviously the Hawkinson trade. Just
I
he
just
had to leave town. There's no targets left. You got to leave town. And what an offense to go to.
I'm I'm not gonna lie. I liked Hayden Hurst. I like Hayden Hurst in Cincy for some odd reason. It just felt right to me. To
The
be
Atlanta
honest.
Falcons fan in you is showing a lot. I can see
He was only there for a season, so I don't got that much ties to him.
it.
But to wrap up this segment, like we said before, we do have a GOAT tier. It's the same guys, probably everybody's GOAT tier, to be honest. We gave you,
Undeniable.
yeah, we gave you Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is number one, but this is the separate GOAT tier itself. Uh, it's honestly should be everybody's, and that
Yeah.
is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey. Um, these guys are just a different breed. Um, respectable top end on both their positions. Kelsey's always finishing first among tight ends, and Pat is usually up there as well in the top three, dancing around. He finished first last year among QBs with 5,200 yards passing, 41 TDs, 12 picks. And with Travis Kelsey finishing first as well with 1,300 yards through the air and 12 TDs with 110 receptions as a tight end, it's hard to overlook. And yes, Travis Kelsey is still going in the first round in fantasy drafts as well. Until he shows me
Dude,
otherwise, I don't see him slipping. Yeah, he's getting older. He's about to be 34. This guy is still running on a motor.
yeah. Just getting better and better. Yeah, I think I have all these show notes. I write all these things, click around on the computer, read some stuff. Um, their show notes, 3 letters, duh. Maybe duh with an exclamation point. There's no other research to put into that. I mean, Kelsey's tight end one. I think you really look at the numbers year after year. He's probably a top 5 receiver. I would put him as a top 5 receiver. Um, I think the toughest thing about the GOAT tier is I don't know if you're going to be able to draft both of these guys. Um, just because how much everybody loves Mahomes and he changes the game and all this stuff. And say you're playing with somebody who doesn't necessarily know that well, like know football, know the ins and outs. He knows who Patrick fucking Mahomes is, dude. I firmly believe, if you're playing with somebody who doesn't necessarily know fantasy football, the ins, the outs, the names, everything, everybody knows who Patrick Mahomes is. So I mean, you might get unlucky. Somebody might just double down, take him ridiculously early. He's QB1, ADP 19. Like I said, I play in a 10-man league. I don't know if you'll be able to stack both these guys. Kelsey's ADP's 5. He's worth it. I mean, honestly. But if you get them, you don't have to think about it. If they're both on the board, you get both. It's simple as that. Don't overthink it. You overthink it, you're gonna lose 100% of the time. I don't know if there's anything else to say about these guys. It's for two friends. I mean, TK, you and I've been friends for what? Let's not put a number on it. We're old. We don't agree on too many things sports related. Like
It's
you're a Falcons fan, I'm an Eagles fan. I mean, we literally like there's very few things we agree on. It's Jordan's the GOAT and draft Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like it's it. Like it's simple as that.
yeah, that's pretty much you nailed it right there. Um, and that will probably wrap up our top 5 fantasy duos. We're going to leave the next episode a surprise. Normally, I'm going to tell you what's in store for the next episode. It was great to finally have a co-host, someone to finally talk to rather than myself here with you guys for 30 minutes. It's nice to go back and forth with someone, argue as of, yeah, the Philly. But that is a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll let them know. Stay tuned week after week during the season for insights, player updates, and strategies. Until next time, may your drafts be fruitful, your touchdowns be plentiful, and your victories sweet. And make sure the competition doesn't forget who's in charge. Let them know.
Gotta let them know.